And gentlemen, welcome back to TLT Talks. We have a very exciting show for you today. As always, we are getting this question nearly daily. Is it the right time to buy? Is it time to wait? The rates are so high. What do we do? And so today I'm going to have on with us one of our top agents. She'll be joining any second now. She does it all on the team and to rent, or should we buy any minute now? Here we go. Bam, there it is. There it is.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brenna. Good morning.
What's up? Nice to see you.
Likewise. So, guys, let me just tell you something about Brenna. If you ever have the opportunity to work with her or even be in her presence, you are one lucky, very special individual. I treasure all day, every day that we get to work together and collaborate. The consummate professional, but what a heart as well. Brenna, I know just how fabulous you are, but for the 100,000 plus people that are going to get to watch this, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, your background, anything you'd like to?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I feel the same way about you, Eugene. I'm happy to be here and happy to meet the 100,000 people that are going to see this. And I'm really excited about this topic, and I'm very passionate personally too, not just professionally, but personally passionate about building wealth through real estate. So I'm excited to talk about rent and renting versus buying. I'm actually originally from San Diego, California, and shout out to the Compass Retreat in San Diego this year. But yeah, so born and raised in Southern California, eventually transplanted to the Midwest, and I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin, and eventually started my career in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in education. So I was in education. Well, I was originally a teacher and then eventually in educational leadership for, nearly a decade. So I was not in this industry at all. And then upon getting to New York, as you know, Eugene, you and I met and we clicked in a lot of different ways. There was so many similar mindsets and approaches and things that we discovered as we continued conversations. And I decided to make that jump into real estate now 2 years, which is wild. So on the Litvak team, 2 years, and I'm blessed to be part of it, and just really excited every day to work on the team. And our TLT motto, as you know, and hopefully our viewers know, is all of your needs under one roof. So I really do in my work with all types of folks: renters, landlords, sellers, buyers, Brooklyn, Manhattan. So I'm really trying to continue the experience. But that's a little bit about me.
You're truly a Jill of all trades. Yeah, we met, Brett and I, and it was serendipitous. There was magic in the air, and it was like, I don't know exactly what we're going to do together, but there's some future where we're in it together. And 2 years flew by like nothing, like a couple minutes, like a couple of minutes, like nothing. What Brenna's accomplished in 2 years, 99% of real estate agents don't accomplish in the entirety of their careers. So kudos to you for just what you bring every single day. So
thank you.
This question, Brenna and I get all the time. Is it the right time to buy? Is it the right time to buy? So Brenna, let's have a chat let's talk for the entirety of this conversation. Let's talk about the metaphorical John Smith. John Smith is renting somewhere in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and John Smith gives you a call and he says, Brenna, is it a good time to buy? What are we telling him?
I'm sure John Smith's going to want to hear it, but we really don't know. We don't know. And that's not because of a lack of experience. It's because we just don't know. Luckily, that doesn't mean that we don't have things to say, because we always have things to say. But we get asked this all the time, as you know, and as you just shared. And I think I would say the most common thing that we have a conversation with a John Smith or with a potential buyer or somebody that's just on the cusp thinking about it, is really the only way that you can make a decision on that front is to do your due diligence.
Right.
I think the most common thing after what should I do is I step in with a buyer and ask them just some general questions like, what's your rent? Are you comfortable with that rent? If you're thinking about buying, obviously they are, if they've had this conversation, what can you afford? And I quickly realized that most people that are in this camp of trying to make this decision are really limited in what they know and what they know to be true about their buying power and what they could afford. A lot of buyers, and honestly, myself included, in the last, it started to shift in the last maybe 5 or 6 years. I had always only known about a 30-year fixed mortgage. So that has always kept my thinking about this topic in a very small box until I started to discover, and as we have shared with our clients, there are so many other products available, mortgage products, that might give you the buying power that you didn't even know you had, and therefore answer your question yourself, right? So we talk about this a lot, and I've shared with buyers quite a bit. There's of course a 30-year fixed mortgage, but there's also adjustable rate mortgages. There's also interest only mortgages, all of these, and then of course your fixed rate, and all of these can give you flexibility that a lot of buyers don't know in terms of down payment percentages, how to get an interest rate a little bit lower, how long you plan to hold a property, and what sense does it make to have a 30-year fixed mortgage if you only want to be there for 4 years. So I think that's a really good place to start, is that you really have to get educated. You have to maybe reach out to a mortgage broker, discuss with a real estate agent too, to kind of get that overview of, there are other products, and maybe you thought you didn't have buying power because you were attached to a 30-year fixed. Shoot, I don't have a 20% down payment. I definitely can't afford these interest rates. I'm going to go online and do a mortgage calculator. I definitely can't afford that. But never did you know that if you met with a professional, there could be options that you don't need a 20% down, and you could get lower than the interest rate that you're seeing. So get educated. Get educated.
So spot on. So do you know what's funny about our industry is, if I was sick, if John Smith was sick, he might go on WebMD to see something, especially if he's a hypochondriac, but it would not end there. He would then make an appointment to see his doctor. Why is real estate any different? You know, for most people, if they buy a property, it's the most expensive thing they're ever gonna own. Absolutely. And yet, just because there's a Zillow or a StreetEasy, all of a sudden a John Smith could think, well, I got it. I could do this on my own. So look, Mr. Smith, if you're out there, and I know you're out there because we've met many of you, first, let me just say to you that the type of mortgage you take really matters. To everyone that might be watching, I cannot tell you how many times I've had a conversation that went something like this. Mr. Smith, what are you looking to buy? 2-bedroom, 1,000 square feet, X location, X neighborhood, X closing date. Okay, fine, great. Mr. Smith, for how long are you going to own this property? And you just get, And it's like, dude, you're about to spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars going to this debt pool, and you don't even know how long you're going to own the thing for. So, but it's fair. It's fair. So number one is to understand that, and understanding that, look, more often than not, the answer is, I don't know. And that's fair. We don't always know. But is it a shorter term hold, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or are you planting the flag for the indefinite future? Like you usually know those. Whatever you think it might be, Mr. Smith, just know that the statistics, studio 1 bedrooms, couple of years, 2-3 years, 2 bedrooms, a little more, 3 to 5, 3 bedrooms or a house, 4 to 7. But very rarely is someone in New York City buying a property for 20 to 30 years. Exactly. It's not the world anymore, you know? So Mr. Smith, just understand that with a 30-year fixed, you're buying certainty and you're paying for it. It's the most expensive rate. By going to adjustable rate product, and it's called an ARM, adjustable rate project. There's 5-year, 7-year, 10-year ARMs. The number is how long it's fixed for. And the longer it's fixed, the more expensive it is. So a 5-year ARM is cheaper than a 10-year ARM, but not by much. Now, typically, the difference between the 30-year fixed and the ARM is about a full point. Could be, so if the 30-year fixed was 5%, the ARM could be 4%. It's substantial. Today, that's not really the case. Today, it's about a half a point, but still pretty substantial. Where it gets really interesting is the interest-only rate. The interest-only is on the same interest rate, more or less, as is the ARM, so cheaper than the fixed, but you're also not paying down any principal, and so the monthly payment becomes much cheaper. As an example, in the old days, before the rates were crazy, when the rates were around 5 or 6% on a 30-year fixed, I had bought a property. This is about 10 years old, the story. I'll be really quick on the numbers, and I'll move on to the next point. At the time, we were renting for about $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that, and we looked at a property that was better than ours, and the 30-year fixed payment was about $8,800, The 7-year ARM payment was $6,600. So just the difference in rate made a pretty substantial difference in out-of-pocket cost per month. But then the interest-only payment was $4,400. That's a 40 to 50% delta. So for everybody out there that's going to this mortgage calculator that sees a mortgage of, well, if I buy $10,000 a month, just understand by going to an interest-only, that payment might be 30, 40% less. And so it's a much greater conversation. So long story short, Mr. Smith, if you're out there and any of this piques your interest, feel free to reach out. Brenna and I can sort of walk you through it. Even today, the fixed rate is about 7%. Guys, buyers or renters that don't even know, there are a whole myriad of ways to get that down. Number one, you can go interest only. That brings down the rate. Number two, there's opportunities today to buy down the rate. So you can get from 7 all the way to like 5 or 5.5. Don't quote me because, you know, market conditions constantly change, but there's the ability to buy down the rate. So me personally, we bought a home about a year ago, and between taking an interest only, buying down the rate, yada, yada, the rate, the 30-year fix is more or less the same as now, a little bit less. We ended up in a 10-year interest only for 4%. So we're seeing these astronomical payments at a 30-year fix, but you move to this, and all of a sudden a house that was unaffordable becomes affordable. We know we're not going to be here more than 10 years, so we're comfortable making the move. And the primary thing to think about for Mr. Smith out there, well, what if the property doesn't go up? I'm not paying down any principal. Okay, name me one property that I want you to think about property 10 years ago and what they would cost and what they are today. So long story short, I really want to cover that point, but Brenna, I could not agree more. The first step of the process is get clarity. Clarity equals power. Get out of the assumptions. Call Brenna. Brenna will hook you up with a mortgage broker. Have the conversation of due diligence so that you at least know what's what. And then we have the Mr. Smiths that'll say something like, well, the rates are so high right now. The prices are so high right now. I would like to buy, Brenna. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait.
My favorite. My favorite.
What do you have to say to Mr. Smith now, Brenna?
Oh, so much, so much. No, we giggle and laugh, but like it's real, right? I mean, most people in the market, a lot of people's plans have been thwarted because of these interest rates and what they thought was going to happen. And even like some of those first-time home buyers, they had all these dreams, and I think what I would say is we can't fortune tell, right? Like we don't know what we thought. I mean, everything in the market right now is fortune telling and the financial side of things and real estate. And we all wish that we could, but we can't. So I think the downside or the scary part of not fortune telling is that right now we keep saying, oh my gosh, these rates are astronomical. We don't know what's on the other side of it, right? So we don't know if they're going to continue to grow and be what is truly astronomical. And then you're in the same situation compounded. So with that, I guess I think of a couple of things. One, there's a certain group of people that have to move, right? Their life circumstances, whatever is happening is dictating you got to move, and that's going to force your hand, right? You're either going to have to get on board with the interest rate, maybe pick one of these products and then refinance down the road. For others, when we think about, okay, I just want to make the best investment and wait, the other side of I'm going to wait for interest rates falling is that I think everybody else out there is waiting for the same. So right now, if you have higher interest rates, you have so many people sitting on the sideline. They are not coming into the game because they're scared or they're nervous that they're not going to be able to afford it, or there's too much uncertainty. And you have a very wonderful opportunity right now to perhaps get a lot of access to negotiable properties, prices that sellers, they also have life situations. They still got to sell, right? So there might be situations where you can get a little bit more negotiable pricing and eventually, again, refinance. When you do inevitably, fingers crossed, these rates fall. So I think the food for thought here is you can wait. Let's say you are a renter, right? You're paying $5,000. Anybody that doesn't live in New York, their jaw just dropped, but you're paying $5,000 of rent and you want to wait a year. You just burn 60 grand, right? That's the rough reality. And by
the way, anyone that does live in New York, they're saying 5,000. Where?
Exactly,
where can I get a two-bedroom for 5,000? Because on the flip side, what's going on with these rents? What's your other choice?
Exactly.
The other choice, these rents are astronomical. Right. Sorry to jump in. I thought that's such a key point. That's such a key point.
it's true. I mean, you're seeing when you, so you're burning through as you rent 60K that, yes, it's scary that your interest rate will be higher, but isn't that isn't that investment and that asset where you're not paying 100% interest as a renter to somebody else's mortgage? Isn't that something that it's powerful, right?
Yeah,
Like it's so I
surely.
think there's a cost in waiting and continuing to rent because there's no way around it. You're burning cash and you're not building equity.
That's right.
Eventually, yes, even with high interest rates, you still got equity in the property that
That's
you're in. So
right. That's
that's what I
right.
have to say to that version of John Smith.
Yeah, spot on. It's like and that's why when people say is it the right time to buy, I don't know, but these rents aren't getting any cheaper.
Right.
These rents are getting more expensive. The more John Smiths wait, the more of them go into the rental market, the more rents are going up even more.
Yeah.
And so these rents aren't cheap. And so yeah, like if you do go and get educated and you do go for 10-year interest only, buy down there, all that stuff. Actually, most people don't know this. But Mr. Smith, if you look at a rental property and you look at a comparable sale property and you go and do the 10-year interest only buy down, Mr. Smith, your monthly payment will actually be smaller. You do have to
Mm-hmm.
come up with a down payment.
Exactly.
That's the challenge, fine. But you do have to, but your monthly payment will actually be smaller. And by the way, you are burning through cash. 100% interest is totally spot on. And B, all the money that's potential on the sidelines, inflation is still really high. If you're not offsetting inflation, then it's like someone's going to your bank and taking your money every single month.
Yeah.
And if you look at the last 100 years, the two greatest returns are the index, the S&P. If you just put your money there and just don't touch it, don't go and day trade. Don't like, oh, I heard the stock's gonna go up. You just park your money in S&P. That and real estate have been the two greatest returns in the last 100 years. So the idea, like milk goes up, water goes up, real estate goes up. It's just
Mm-hmm.
part of what happens. So look,
Yeah.
the answer, I want to be clear in our messaging here. We are not saying drop everything and go buy and be irresponsible. We are saying have the conversation, get educated on
Yeah.
what's available out there. That's all we're actually saying is don't take assumptions can be
Yeah.
deadly. In business, they say, I train Muay Thai. In fighting, very similar to in business, what you see coming is not what hurts you. It's the thing you
Mm-hmm.
don't see coming. It's your blind spot. That's when
Yeah.
you get knocked out or in business, go out of business or whatnot. And so we're just taking the position of it's not what it seems, because
Right.
because the rates are what they are. Like there's also this expression, you marry the property, but you only date the rate. The rate can't stay like this forever.
Right.
But right now, when the rate's high and your competition's minimum, there's ample opportunity to get in there, get something that in the sales price value is actually quite a deal. So fine, it's gonna be a little more for now, but again, not necessarily because if you go interest only and buy down, you might be fine. But worst case scenario, you wait a year or two if you don't go down there, right? You refinance. Long story short, there's a lot of opportunities out there. These rents aren't coming down; they're only going up. So play chess, not checkers. Take a step up. What's the next couple of years look like? Is it worth the conversation? That's ultimately our big message today. Is don't be stuck in the status quo. Just be educated, understand what's out there, etc. And so, Brenna, as we start to round out the show,
Yeah.
I think, and I mean this sincerely, this is not a blow smoke type of statement. I think that your level of the combination of care and professionalism. There's a lot of people that care out there, but just don't know the job. There's a lot of people that know the job, but are scarred, don't care as much. Everybody's just a spreadsheet, and you're neither. Your combo of care and professionalism is really. I mean, I know a lot of real estate agents. It's really impressive. So I'd love to leave. Let's say John Smith is watching this, and I hope that they all
Poor
are.
guy. Poor guy.
John, we love you. That's why we're doing this, John.
We're really
We love
picking
you.
on John.
We love you. Let's say John says, holy moly, I see the light. Eugene, Brenna, I hear you. I'm going to reach out to you to reach out to the mortgage broker. I'm in for discovery. And let's say that goes well. We got Maven on here. Say Brenna is the best, which is absolutely accurate. Let's say John sees the light and says, all right, I'm in. Let's go. Give us some tips. It is not an easy place to be. This market is not an easy place for buyers. Yeah. However, neither is life. No one said life's supposed to be easy or fair or just. Whoever got that fortune cookie, you're misinformed. What are some tips for the Johns out there that do want to get into the market, what are some tips to be competitive or to, get ahead of the curve, or
Yeah.
some tips for buyers?
Yeah, I think, and to your point before of us not trying to pick on John Smith, or to tell everybody just go for the buy, don't even think about
Yeah.
it. I do think I'm passionate about. I own properties myself, and I think I wish my biggest regret is that I didn't start sooner.
Yeah.
So for me, like, if you have the ability, or you are even on the cusp of deciding, meet with somebody and just figure out if you have more ability than you thought.
That's right.
Because I do think, for me, and it's my personal opinion, that there is no greater investment than real estate. I just simply do not. So that is my personal aside. But I do, not to pick on renters, I am a renter too. So I think one tip potentially for renters is just like creative thinking, right? If you are in a situation where you're going to be renting and you have to be renting, and you're going to stay renting for a while, maybe be creative. Maybe you have cost cutting ability right now. Maybe you're in a 2-bedroom and you really are not using that second bedroom at all. Maybe you can downsize for your lease term, or a couple lease terms, and just save, hoard your capital so that you can get to a place where you are ready for that down payment when you're ready to jump in the market. I think,
sorry,
yep.
jumping in just for a
No, go
second.
ahead.
Or let's say your rent is 7-8 grand, and an equivalent apartment is, you just don't have the down payment for something of that size. You can also buy
Totally.
a smaller asset. You could buy 1 bedroom, or, and this is really good, I'm really glad you said this, or you also don't have to own the place you're going to live in. Brenna, you rent, but you own property. So John Smith, maybe what you want to live in, you can't buy, but you can certainly buy something small as an investment property and get started in that way, right? Just be in the game in some way. Yeah, sorry. So I thought that was really strong.
No, I totally agree. I think also for those folks, when we're thinking about tips, the biggest ones, especially those that are starting, you said John Smith was about to jump in, he's seen the light. I think it always, and this is not a pitch for us at all, although, hey, we'll take it, right? Is align with a broker, right? Back to your point earlier, Eugene, about if we're sick, we don't just go to WebMD, we go to professionals. Yes, I'm one of those people, I will not do my taxes. I need a professional because I want that person and their expertise. I think the same thing here, like the market is intricate, and it kind of always is, right? It's not just right now. There's nuances constantly. So align with a broker, call us, call somebody that you trust, but make sure that you lean on people that have a vast community to help serve your need. So we have, not only do we have the ability in our network constantly to have access to things that other brokers and listing agents that might have property that meets your need, but there's things that are off market that only brokers might know about, and we even have channels and mechanisms to advocate for you. We can reach out to just brokers and say that we have a client in search of blank, 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 and potentially get access to something before it comes to market, before you have competition.
That's right.
So in that same light, I mean, I think I was a former basketball player, love sports, Eugene, I know you do too, but like, build your team and build a team that you can trust, right? Build your team that you know is going to hit you in the corner because you're open, or know is going to hit that backdoor cut because they see you. Like, get a team where you have a lender that you've sat down with. They know all the nuances of your financial situation. They know what you want. They know what your goals are. Same thing with your broker that can advocate and fight for you and make sure that they are going to get you what you want, and your real estate attorney. Like, all of these people work so closely together in any and every transaction, that build your team now. It's okay if they're waiting on the sideline for game time, but build them now is what I would say.
Yeah, so true. And our team, one of the primary things we do on our team is build really clear and robust operating procedures. And so, Mr. Smith, we have a whole suite of procedures of how to get access to off-market property. In the beginning of the show, I had said that when Brenna and I met, that it was magic and sparkles and all that stuff. Mr. Smith, wouldn't you want your broker to know interest rates and cap rates, and also know how to hit the backdoor cut? I mean, what are we talking about right now? What are we talking about right now? Brenna, thank you so much for your time today. Mr. Smith, if you're out there and you get to work with Brenna, consider yourself very fortunate. And all we can do in this life is put ourselves in a position to succeed. By having Brenna on your team, those chances go way up. Any final thoughts, anything you want to leave the Mr. Smiths out there with as a closing statement, or any final tips?
I mean, I think if there was one thesis statement, the former educator in me, I think it's just get educated and don't be nervous about, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of chatter right now. Call us, right?
Yeah.
You could start with us, and then you can build your journey there. We hope obviously you'll stay with us, but call somebody that can discuss it with you, and that you can really explore and ask all of the questions that you might be nervous to ask to other people in the industry. I think get educated and figure out if it actually is possible to get your money into real estate, because as I said before, I think it is the best move to make in whatever way you can.
Oh, so spot on. And I'll double down on that. I'll double down. If you're not planning to buy now, totally fine. Still not a good reason not to get educated. You can have a 2, 3, 5-year plan. Never the wrong time to start. And if you look at all the, wealthiest people in the world, all billions and trillions of dollars, most of it was built on real estate. So Brenna, very well said today. Everyone that watched or will watch, thank you for taking the time.
Yes,
and Brenna, thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to decades of beautiful work together.
Likewise.
And then some jump shots back to our class. Let's go.
Thank you, Eugene. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.